My mom said an old friend would be staying with us for a few days. I didn't think much of it. She has plenty of friends, divorced, working remotely, always talking about disappointing men. I figured this one would be the same. But then Chloe stepped out of the car. She was beautiful, but not in a soft or predictable way. There was something about her that made you want to look again. Confident eyes, graceful movements, and a quiet allure I couldn't name. She smiled, and I wasn't sure if I should meet her eyes or look away. "You must be Ethan," she said, then hugged me, like it was the most natural thing. A soft vanilla scent brushed past me, and for a second my heart paused. My mom followed her out laughing as she hugged Chloe, but in her eyes I caught a flicker of hesitation, as if she too hadn't expected this version of her friend. That night, Mom made pasta. The wine glasses were full, and the three of us sat at the table, warm light, soft shadows. Chloe told stories about New York, about men who never kept their word, and how she once made the cover of a magazine in her 20s. I smiled politely. But at one point, she placed a hand on my shoulder, gently, maybe even unconsciously. I turned and met her gaze. It wasn't the look of an aunt to her friend's son. It stayed, soft, almost waiting. I finished my wine in one long sip. Mom kept talking, and me, I wasn't sure if what I felt was real or just the wine. I woke up around 1 a.m. The house was still. I went downstairs for water. Dim light from the dishwasher spilled across the floor, and I froze. Chloe stood there, hair down, no makeup, wearing a thin top, holding a glass of wine, and she didn't look sleepy at all. "Can't sleep?" she asked, voice low, almost a whisper. I nodded and walked closer. She handed me the glass. Our fingers touched and held for a moment too long. We didn't speak. We just stood there, close, silent, my heart racing in my chest. I got back to my room just before 2 a.m., but sleep didn't come. That feeling, it wasn't like anything I'd known before. In the morning, Mom called me down for breakfast. Chloe was already there, fresh, hair tied up, pouring coffee like she'd had a full night's sleep. "How'd you sleep, Ethan?" she asked. Her tone was light. She didn't look at me, but I knew she was waiting for something. I didn't get the chance to answer. Mom came in and sat down chatting like any other day. No one brought up the night, but from that moment I couldn't look at her as just Mom's friend anymore. That evening, Sophia, a classmate, stopped by. We were working on a group project. Chloe opened the door. She smiled politely, but I noticed how her eyes moved. She looked at Sophia, then back at me, as if comparing. We sat at the dining table with our laptops. Chloe passed by now and then, placing her hand briefly on my shoulder when refilling water, and once standing behind me just a bit too long. When Sophia left, Chloe simply said, "She's cute." Then she smiled at me. But that smile wasn't about Sophia. Around midnight, I went down to the kitchen again. Chloe was there, hair slightly messy, eyes alert, still her, but not the same version I'd seen during the day. I grabbed a glass. As I passed her, my hand brushed lightly against her waist. Neither of us moved. No words, no reaction. 1 second, 2. She smiled softly, then walked past me, leaving behind that same scent, and a silence I couldn't name. The next morning, Mom came home. She saw Chloe and me sitting at the kitchen counter, both still in sleepwear. She didn't say anything, just nodded. But the way she looked at me, it felt like I'd been caught doing something that hadn't actually happened. Chloe went upstairs. Mom stayed, coffee in hand, eyes distant. "What do you think of her?" she asked. I didn't answer. That wasn't really a question. It was a quiet line drawn between us. That afternoon, Chloe packed her things. She didn't offer much of an explanation, just said something came up. Before leaving, she handed me a small pouch. "You left this last night," she said. I nodded. She stood there for a moment longer, then said, "Some things don't need to be said, as long as they're remembered." I didn't respond. She placed her hand on my shoulder, held it for a second, and walked out the door. No goodbye, no promise to meet again, but I knew this wasn't a real goodbye. Everything returned to normal. No one mentioned Chloe. No photos, no texts. But now and then, a soft trace of vanilla in a crowded street. A passing look from a stranger. That night, I walked into the guest room. It was spotless. Fresh sheets, new pillows. But on the desk, a small silver ring. I didn't know if it was forgotten or left behind. I picked it up, slipped it into the drawer, and closed it, softly, silently.